Hi there, and welcome back to my animation channel. Today we're going to look at a background that I've been working on for my Trainspotter animation movie, and I'm just going to cover my process, how I got to the final. Pretty straightforward, but what you'll see is my influence on the actual artwork. The style is very Hergé, very Tintin-esque. That's because when I was a kid I was very drawn to Tintin and Tintin, Asterix and Obelix, but more so Tintin, and he had a very clear black line style of drawing and nice clean crisp colours, flat colours that I liked, and that's definitely the style that stuck with me. So in animation, obviously every project is different, and I don't intend to adhere to this style forever or even beyond this project, but this animation that we're going to look at now, the background is very stylistic in that Hergé style. So please sit back, grab some coffee. I hope you enjoy what I show you. It's very sped up because these obviously take a long time and I don't want to keep you for too long, so I've sped up most of it, but you'll get an idea of my work method, my technique, and hopefully it's something that you enjoy. The idea for this short animation actually came to me while I was taking a shower. I don't know where you guys do all your good thinking, but I do my creative thinking in the shower. And I came up with a concept, and as soon as I was out the shower I quickly sketched out this idea. I had it crystal clear in my mind, and this is the pencil sketch. Basically it's two characters, a little boy and a little girl, waiting for a train to come out the tunnel. That's the opening scene. Since then I've just made it one character, but to be honest with you I might go back and add in the little girl. It's work in progress, but the background just started with this pencil sketch and I started inking. Basically hand ink. It's the easiest way to get stuff done quickly. At this stage I learned quite a quick lesson that a little bit of planning goes a long way and can speed up your overall process if you just take a bit of time to plan. Why I say this will become clear in the next scene when I show you me undoing a mistake that I'd made. Here I am putting ink to the straight onto the pencil line artwork, and this will all be scanned in or digitally taken in and fixed up and colored in Photoshop. The mistake that I made was that if you look at it, this tunnel entrance, if you follow that railway line, would pretty much be popping out to the left there where the trees are. It's not deep enough, and I didn't take that perspective, and here I'm just showing the actual lay of the land with red lines and where the tunnel was right there, and you know, and there's a railway line as it was, and if the tunnel was to extrude out the other side, it would pop out that. It would be a very short tunnel, let's put it that way, and those trees wouldn't be there. You'd have to have another hill. So this is fixable, it's not a problem, but you can circumvent having to do this by just taking 5-10 minutes to actually plan your scene instead of just jumping in boots and all like I did. So that's a tip right there for you guys to use, girls to use. Plan your scene better and you will spend less time fixing it up. Right, so here we on to photoshopping, putting in the color. We fixed up the tunnel and we've widened it for the scene, and we just adjusting colors here, dropping it in. Pretty simple, straightforward stuff on Photoshop. I'm keeping the background quite dark for a bit of atmosphere. I like the dark trees right at the back there in black, that inked look. I like that. Basically for this kind of scene, the trees I'm trying to give a bit of depth to, a bit of dimension to, with shadow and with some bark. So we're doing that here, and I'll do that the same thing to the tunnel. Try and give it a bit of depth, so that the artwork appears flat. Well, not flat, clean, but not flat. It has some depth, some working to it. So here we're just photoshopping some depth into the opening of the tunnel. All the signal work for this railway tunnel was researched, and I don't know if I got it 100% correct, but it's close. And again, in retrospect, I could have done some of this a bit cleaner, and maybe I'll come back at some stage and clean it up. Once we are finished with the photoshopping, we export it as a JPEG or a PNG, and we pull it into Opentoonz, create a new level. I've used a vector level here, and just import the JPEG or the PNG into that level, and there's your background. What I've also done is I've created some additional assets in the way of a flower and some grass, some leaves, and put them on different levels so that you can put them foreground, background, play around with them, and this is to give it a bit of depth. And obviously we'll be animating that at a later stage. It'll blow in the wind, and ultimately we'll have some butterflies or bees moving around to give it some interest, and that's what we're doing now in Opentoonz. So this is all on separate levels, but the main thing is the background there is on the one level, and that's pretty much done. This is one of the assets that I created earlier, a flower, and when I dropped it in front of the background, I found that the edges were rather pixelated, so I've taken it back into Photoshop and we are smoothing out the edges so that you don't have that pixelated look on it. Not much work, but this kind of stuff you got to do. So the flower's been fixed up. It's got smoother edges now, and we duplicate it. And now we are back to Photoshop. We have to extend this scene to the right there, so I'm doing a very rough sketch in here, and hopefully it works out okay. The scene needs to extend more to the right, because the train will be coming left to right, and the character will be watching it move to the right. So again, not good planning to start with. And if you take anything away from this video, it's your planning better, or better than I did. Do planning, it'll save you time. This can all be fixed up. I mean, it's pretty straightforward to fix it up, but if you plan your scene or plan your shot with better detail, you can get around this, having to do this. So here I am drawing this tree and a rather big rock that is on a separate level in Photoshop. Idea being again that the train will be passing behind it, and I've just extended the railway and the background behind it on the original level. So layer. So we have two layers here. We have the original, which will have to be extended with the railway, and this bit that I'm working with now, which will become a bit of a foreground to the background, with the train going behind it. So we've drawn in the foreground rock and tree in Photoshop. Didn't pencil and ink it, went straight to Photoshop, and adding some detail, some depth and shadow, and take that layer or hide that layer, and then we're back to the original background layer where we're extending the railway out. I'm not too perturbed about what happens behind the rock and the tree here. In fact, I'm not worried at all, because it'll be visually blocked out, so we can leave that undone. But this little bit here on either side will be visible, so we have to take care to replicate that. And to speed up the process, I'm using a lot of cloning of the stonework, the gravel that's on the side of the railway, and that certainly speeds up the process. That's basically it. So there we are, it's done. There's our background. Just to go through what we didn't cover, we had to cut this out, or I had to cut this out in Photoshop, cut out some background so that we could place this layer. You import it back as a PNG file, so it has a transparent background. That white will be transparent, and you take this layer, drop it over the background layer, and that covers the train and all the objects that will be coming out of that tunnel, so it gives their appearance of there being a tunnel there. That we didn't cover. Here's the tree and the rock, which go to the foreground and block out that piece of railway that we didn't need to finish, and our assets such as the flower, the leaves and grass. Put it all together and there is our background finished.